Good day, it's July 27, 2026. The U.S. Supreme Court continued to be criticized for many rulings that continue to chip away constitutional rights, especially those that disregard precedents made by previous Supreme Court. I'm Joe Boban. Welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Sam Buban. Welcome to this week's edition.
A liberal Hawaii Supreme Court judge criticized Chief Justice Roberts and the conservative majority for weakening the Constitution and democracy for political gains, and will not comply to any decision that violates Hawaiian laws. Justice Scott Edens issued a 91-page opinion last Wednesday in the State versus Ganilo case from 1990 where a man kidnapped and sexually assaulted a woman in Maui. The court ordered a new trial after concluding that testimony from an FBI hair and fiber expert relied on forensic techniques that have since been widely discredited. Rather than limiting the opinion to the evidentiary issues before the court, Edens used the ruling to argue that state constitutions play a critical role when federal constitutional protections are, in his view, were narrowed by the U.S. Supreme Court. Edens argued that Hawaii's constitution provides stronger protections than the federal constitution as interpreted by the U.S. Supreme Court, and said the court has abandoned landmark civil rights principles. The court that now defines federal due process does not honor the work of 1954, Edens wrote, and revives the work of 1857, the work of 1896. Edens was referring to the Brown versus Board of Education ruled in 1954, which ended racial segregation in public schools, and Dred Scott versus Sanford, the infamous 1857 decision denying citizenship to Black Americans, and Plessy versus Ferguson, the 1896 ruling upheld racial segregation. The rollback on landmark Supreme Court rulings that protects the rights of women in Dobbs versus Jackson, Women's Health Organization, which ended the federal constitution right to abortion. Trump versus the United States, which recognized broad presidential immunity for official acts. Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission, or FEC, on campaign finance. Rucho versus Common Cause on partisan gerrymandering, and New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin, which expanded Second Amendment protections. The court overrides what Congress passed. It overrides what the people chose, all to serve its own ends, Edens wrote. According to observers and legal commentators, all of the conservative justices of the Supreme Court are members and were trained and groomed from both the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society. Both organizations uphold Judeo-Christian conservative and traditionalist values and far right-wing ideology whose goal is to preserve the status quo of power and oppression of different groups of communities. Two conservative justices, such as Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, are known to be members of the Federalist Society, are seen as leading the pack in dismantling the country's advances on civil rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, and ignoring the power of Congress as the proper place for creating laws and that protects the American people.
My Pillow guy and Trump ally Mike Lindell got struck down in court by a Trump-appointed U.S. District Court Judge, Carl Nichols. According to the report by Law and Crimes News, in late June, Smartmatic asked U.S. District Court Judge Carl Nichols to clarify whether the voting machine conspiracy theorist would pay some of the contempt penalty to Smartmatic, or if the sum was to be paid directly to the court. The judge, a Donald Trump appointee, answered that question on Monday last week by entering a judgment in favor of Smartmatic and giving Lindell until August 21st to pay the total daily contempt penalty of $51,500 to the registry of the court. Nichols started imposing fine on Lindell in April after rejecting his claim of inability to pay $56,369 in sanctions for filing frivolous counterclaims against Smartmatic. The judge noted, for instance, that the Minnesota Republican gubernatorial candidate spent $187,037 in campaign funds to buy copies of his own book. His book, What Are the Odds? From the Crack Addict to CEO. The fund came from his company to give the books away. Smartmatic said there was clear proof that Lindell had the money or the assets to pay the sanctions, but chose to defy Nichols' orders. From there, Smartmatic insisted that a daily fine was needed to coerce MyPillow CEO into compliance. Mike Lindell is a Republican candidate in the primary for governor in the state of Minnesota, but is recently facing backlash because there is evidence he is not a registered voter in Minnesota, nor is he a resident, in which the Minnesota State GOP has stated that it will hurt his chances of winning in November. The Minnesota primary is on August 11th.
Let's take a look at what's happening in politics in our neighbor, Arizona. Last week, the state of Arizona held their own primary elections. What is notable is the absence of two incumbent Republican House of Representatives member in the House primary. It is because two of them ran for governor. Congressmen Andy Biggs and David Schweikert ran for Arizona governor in the primary, but it was Trump-endorsed Andy Biggs who won and will be challenging incumbent Democrat Governor Katie Hobbs in the November general election. On the Democratic side of 1st Congressional District of Arizona, Dr. Amish Shah won the primary against establishment-backed candidate Marlene Gallan Woods. This year's general election will be the second attempt by Amish Shah for a shot in the congressional seat. In 2024, he was on the ballot, but the seat was won by David Schweikert. Only this time, Schweikert will not be in the ballot because he ran for governor in the primary and lost. Dr. Amish Shah was born in Chicago from immigrant parents who moved to the U.S. from India. Amish obtained his MD degree from Northwestern University and a Master in Public Health from University of California, Berkeley. His opponent in the November ballot will be Jay Feely, a former field goal kicker in the NFL, or the National Football League. Feely is endorsed by the MAGA and Donald Trump.
Let's go to the local scenes, Las Vegas, Nevada. Governor Joseph Lombardo held his monthly luncheon with the communities in Las Vegas. The group who joined him last week were mostly from the Asian Chamber of Commerce of Las Vegas. Film TV reporter and anchor Jessica Rolla was there at that event, and here is some footage of that event held at Gold Coast Hotel Casino. Let's take a look.
Please put your hands over your heart, pick up the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Well, welcome. Good afternoon. Hopefully everybody's having a good meal. And I have to thank the Asian Raja. Thank you for having me, the Asian Chamber of Commerce. And Mr. James, there you are. James Yoon right here. Thank you for the invite. And Sue hit it on the head, right? So I've been a fan and a friend of the Asian Chamber for decades. So we talked about my time in service as a police officer, and just like the captain here, I used to come to the lunches and make sure everybody had a contact with the police department and knew we were here to help. We were here to help. And then subsequently, when I got elevated to sheriff, we continued on with that tradition because I think it's important to have those community connections, especially in the small business environment and large business environment, to ensure the success of our community. And the Asian Chamber has been very, very influential in my decision-making and how I conduct myself in government business. So I can't thank them enough, and I can't thank them enough for their support. A new issue came to light in our environment, and that is affordable, attainable housing. The inability for people that are of a strapped economic position, the inability to afford a house or be put into a house with benefit, with assistance, and have a quality of life is failing in the state of Nevada. And then also our workforce didn't have the ability to occupy those jobs that you are providing and have a quality of life and ability to own a property versus rent a our rental properties are becoming more available. The cost for rental has come down for your workforce, and the percentage, first time in a long time, your interest rate on your mortgage is below 6%. I talked about dollar per hour, right? One of the highest raising dollar per hours in the nation currently. And why is dollar per hour important? We talked about affordable, attainable housing, quality of life, all right? What is gonna motivate people to come into our space and occupy those jobs? Manufacturing has high paying jobs, and that helps develop the fabric and the foundation of our economy with high paying jobs.
Governor Lombardo is being challenged in the November ballot by Democratic State Attorney General Aaron Ford. Let's go into a commercial break, but stay tuned for an interview with a candidate for the Nevada State Assembly, Shanae Booth.
What does your child dream of becoming? In the I Want to Be book series, young readers follow children as they discover the power of learning, leadership, and helping others. The series of 22 books from Ivory Publishing is an inspiring collection that introduces children to careers, confidence, purpose, and possibility. Give a child more than a book. Available now on Amazon, in paperback, and on Kindle. Or visit www.ivorypublishing.llc.net.
I'm Scott Black. When I was first elected, North Las Vegas was a lot like my classic VW bus. It needed some attention. Now an awesome new NLV is taking shape, kind of like this. And we're headed into a future where we have the best of everything. Stronger public safety, improved neighborhoods, new amenities, and higher paying jobs for working families. I'm Scott Black, and I'm asking for your vote so together we can bring this momentum to every road in our city.
With us now here at our Film TV studios is Shanae Booth, candidate for a seat in the Nevada State Assembly, District 22. Shanae, welcome to the polls.
Thank you so much, Sam and Joe. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so honored to finally be here.
Of course.
So happy to have you here. Please tell us and our viewers something about your personal and professional background.
Well, my personal background, I was born and raised in California, and in Nevada. So I have had the opportunity to exist in both places in a real way. My family lives in Centennial, so that's North Las Vegas. My grandparents are buried in Boulder City at Veterans Memorial. I come from a big family, actually, of veterans and family in law enforcement. So it's very interesting to people when they see that I ended up in the circus as an acrobatic performer. I am a former two-time world champion gymnast, and I competed for Team USA for my entire childhood, also into adulthood. I am an honorary Olympian, which is a very unique title that I'm grateful to have. And just to explain that to viewers a little bit, I did not go to the Olympics, but because I was the first ever world champion from America in my discipline for gymnastics, and I did that twice, and no one had ever done it, they gave me a very special title, and so I'm very honored by that. I'm also in the USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame. I was the first acrobat to be inducted, and then I was also recruited by Cirque du Soleil as a young teenager to work for them in their shows. So around 13, 14 years old, they offered me my first job. So I have been performing now on the Vegas Strip and off the Vegas Strip and traveling and touring as a local entertainer and performer for over 20 years. And I know that I don't, look a day over, 21. So it's hard to believe, but I have had the great fortune of being a gig worker, a small business owner, and an independent contractor for my entire life, in Nevada and as a resident of Las Vegas and also as a resident of Henderson.
Well,
That's good.
thank you for that. And that would be a fortune. By good fortune, you're the first Olympian to appear on my show.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm happy to hear that.
Wow, that's
So
great.
where exactly is District 22? If you could name some streets or landmarks
Yes.
where the borders are. Yeah.
That is a great question because District 22 in Henderson is such a big district. It's such a big district that sometimes voters say, I can't believe maybe there should be 2 state assembly representatives for this district. We actually absorbed some of District 21 a few years ago. And so that is how the district extended now from Cadence and Water Street to parts of Inspirada, parts of Cadence, parts of Water Street, parts of Silverado Ranch, parts of McDonald Ranch, parts of Anthem, parts of Seven Hills, and
Wow.
parts of Green Valley and the district overall. So if you think of downtown Henderson, Water Street,
Yes.
all the way to Green Valley Ranch Resort and Casino, within that is parts of District 22. And it can literally go from street to street. One street might be District 22, one
And
street
across the street is different.
is District 21. So it's wonderful having that merge in the district. But sometimes I'm in different parts of the district, either door knocking or meeting voters, which I do literally on a daily basis. And they're just like really shocked that this is still the district. They're like, are you maybe like in the wrong place? I remind them, no, it's just that much representation that we have for District 22 in Henderson, which I'm very grateful for because it's a very diverse, district. I mean, some of it is old Henderson, some of it is considered new Henderson, and some of it's considered middle Henderson. Folks that have been there for, maybe I would say like 10 to 15 years, and then you have the generational families that have been there for 30 plus years, and then you have many folks that have been in Henderson for the past, 5 to 7 years.
Good to know.
That's a vast area now.
Yes.
That.
So this is the first time you're running for an elected office. So what motivated you to enter politics?
That's a great question, Joe. What motivated me to get into politics? Well, I will circle first back to my history as a gymnast and as an advocate. So originally, I am a survivor of USA Gymnastics, and that was a very historic abuse case in U.S. history. There were thousands of gymnasts, of young girls that were abused by the system, by their coaches, by doctors, and we advocated and fought criminally and civilly starting 10 years ago for increased protections for children, for increased protections in the youth and Olympic movement, and also for increased protections for our vulnerable populations and communities.
Yes.
That was my entry into the political space 10 years ago. So I have been testifying under oath for 10 years. I've been working with offices across the states on a local, state, and federal level, introducing and refining and reforming policy within these spaces. And that taught me so much about not just advocating, but also to how government works, how challenging it can be to get policy passed and reformed. You know, the first policy that I was a part of was introduced and passed in 2016. And the current administration, we now just got another policy introduced, and fingers crossed it'll be passed by Congress in these next couple of months. So over that arc, it really showed me that if you speak up and that you use your voice and that you learn how things work, that even as a simple person like me, a performer, can get things done. You see very big survivor voices in government right now with the Epstein survivors, for example.
Right.
And that is a through line from our cases. And so now when we go to Capitol Hill, they say, wow, they know survivors of USA Gymnastics. They say, thank you all for continuing to come and show up, speak to us, and work on policy. So fast forward the past 6 years as a local entertainer and performer, we are one of the last industries that does not have union representation and increased labor here in Nevada. And entertainers and performers and gig workers and independent contractors and small business owners are such a huge population of our local economy. So it is. So during COVID, because things were so difficult for the live entertainment sector, and we, really did not have a safety net during that time, many of us, a part of the community, decided to get involved. And so I decided to put my policy hat on to contact my local representatives and say, hey, there are probably policies that could really protect performers, entertainers, and so small business owners and gig workers. If this event happens in the future, right? There will always be something that throws off of the economy.
Well, it looks like by innovation, you're not just a gymnast, entertainer. You're also now an activist,
Yes.
molded from the most difficult worldwide pandemic we ever experienced.
Suddenly, I think so many of us, it brought out something inside of us, the fire inside of so many of us locals and working people, right? To say I need to speak up and I need to let government know that we need support and that it could and should look like this, that maybe the direction that we're going in is not necessarily what we need that's going to help us in this specific way.
So, Shanae, in the 2024, you're first-time runner, but one good footnote about this, in the 2024 election cycle, we had at least three I can remember that were first-time runner, like Hanadi Nadim, Jovan Jackson, Aaron Bautista, So I guess it's the messaging, and I think you have articulated so much already. But let me ask you, what's the very first, if you have 10 on your mind that you're gonna present as a bill that you wanna sign your name on it or sponsor, what would it be in the state legislature?
Great question. I mean, there's so much need, right, heading into the 2027 legislative session. And what I will be presenting is really specific to my background. And I think that's what is really important. Like when I speak to parents about education reform, for example, they say, we love your experience with arts and physical education, two things we feel like our children are lacking within the educational system currently. They're not getting the same arts education as we did. They're not getting physical education. And they're also having difficulties around mental health. I'm someone who has advocated and has testified in front of Congress for the support of our children's mental health, right, with social media impacts. So one thing around education, that is something you'll probably see from me around those topics, and also too around safety for our children in youth activities in sports and the arts. That's a really big one. I would like to see that improved on a state level. We've been hearing so many cases recently. I don't know what sometimes it is about Nevada or even like Las Vegas, but we have got to make our schools and our children's environments safer. And parents say they think that I'm the person that can do that in the legislature. So I really really respect that aspect, and I'll bring my experience to that. Also around housing costs and transparency. That will be a definitive big one for me. I'm speaking to folks that are trying to just get another home because they are trying to start their family and they're being priced out of buying a home even within Henderson, and they already live in Henderson, right? So that's also a big issue. Workers' rights and small business. That will be also too something that I will be focusing on within the legislature.
Well, Joe, I think she had been very articulate in all the kind of problems our community is seeing. So, Shanae, you know, 1 minute, last minute for you.
Thank you, Sam. Well, my name is Shanae Booth. You can go to ShanaeForNevada.com. That's SHENEAFORNEVADA.com to support us. Please come to Phone Bank, to door knock with us. We would love to have you. I am here to fight for you. We need a new voice in Carson City that is an independent voice that will fight for your small business, your working family, your immigrant community, your small business owners across the board, your workers' rights, the students that are just getting into the workforce, our entrepreneurs, our seniors, our retirees, and our veterans. I'm here for the working people, and I cannot be bought and bossed. I'm here to give you the experience because I experience this every single day, just like you. A changing economy that we need better protections and gains around to help you to protect your health insurance, your benefits, your 401k, and your pension. We need a legislator that has a new voice and a new vision for Henderson and District 22, and I know that I am that candidate for you, and I'm honored to earn your vote. Thank you so much.
Well said there, Shanae. Shanae Booth, candidate for State Assembly for District 22. Thank you for talking to us today, and good luck on your race.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Joe. I'm so honored to be here.
Anytime.
Me too.
It's always
you.
wonderful to have you. And to our viewers, please join us again next week for another edition. I'm Joe Boban. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Sam Buban. God bless your week.